What if I told you that one of America's most notorious serial killers was also a charming, good-looking law student? This is the bewildering tale of Theodore Robert Bundy, better known as Ted Bundy. Born in the fall of 1946 in Burlington, Vermont, Ted was raised in a seemingly ordinary household. Growing up, he was a model student, excelling in school, and was often described as well-mannered and remarkably intelligent. As he matured, his good looks and charisma became apparent. He had a way with words that could disarm even the most wary of individuals. But this charm wasn't just skin deep. Bundy was also a promising law student. His professors saw in him a bright future, a potential leader in the field of law. But there was something more to Ted, something that his charming smile and sharp wit could not fully mask. Beneath the veneer of normalcy, there lurked a dark secret, a monstrous nature that would soon come to light. Everyone who knew him would agree that Bundy was a man of many faces. To some, he was a charismatic individual with a promising future. To others, he was an enigma, a puzzle that begged to be solved. But nobody could have predicted the depth of the darkness that resided within him. As we delve deeper into the life and mind of Ted Bundy, we'll uncover the chilling reality of his dual nature. We'll explore how an intelligent, charismatic law student could also be one of the most infamous serial killers of the 20th century. This is a journey into the unfathomable, into the mind of a man who defied all norms, who lived a life of paradox, shattering the illusion of normalcy and forcing us to question what we think we know about human nature. But beneath this facade, a sinister shadow lurked, waiting to be unleashed. Join us as we uncover the shocking contrast between Bundy's outward charm and his horrific crimes. This is the story of Ted Bundy, a man who was not what he seemed. In the mid-1970s, a wave of terror swept across the Pacific Northwest. The cause? A monster in human clothing. In this era of disco and peace signs, a sinister shadow was cast. It was Ted Bundy, a name that would soon instill fear in the hearts of many. He was not your typical monster with grotesque features. Instead, he was charming, handsome, and intelligent, attributes he used to his advantage. His reign of terror began subtly. His first known victims, Joni Lenz and Linda Ann Healy, were young, beautiful, and full of life. Both were college students living ordinary lives until they encountered Bundy. He didn't just take them, he lured them, using his charisma and seemingly harmless demeanor. He would often feign injury, using a cast or crutches, appearing as a harmless, needy individual. Unsuspecting women, moved by his plight, would fall into his trap. As the number of missing women started to rise, a shroud of fear and uncertainty cloaked the Pacific Northwest. The community was on edge. Parents warned their children, women were told to be cautious, and law enforcement was on high alert. But the predator was cunning, always a step ahead, leaving a trail of unanswered questions and unsolved mysteries. Bundy was not just a murderer, he was a manipulator, a master of disguise. He blended into society, leading a double life that fooled even those closest to him. This was a man who could be your neighbor, your friend, or even your lover, and that's what made him all the more terrifying. In the day, he was a law student, a volunteer at a suicide hotline, a seemingly normal individual. But when night fell, the monster within would emerge, preying on the innocent and leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. The community was living a nightmare, one they hoped to wake up from. But the worst part? They didn't know who the monster was, or when he would strike next. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of Bundy's reign of terror. As authorities scrambled to catch a predator, Bundy's hunger for violence only grew stronger. Shrouded in the cloak of normalcy, Ted Bundy was a chameleon blending seamlessly into the crowd. His ability to metamorphose into the everyday man made him a phantom, a shadow moving in the night. As the nation slept, he embarked on a deadly journey across the country, leaving a trail of terror in his wake. He moved from Washington to Utah, then Colorado, and finally, Florida. With each passing state, his crimes escalated, his methods became more brutal, his thirst for blood more insatiable. The man who could charm his way into anyone's trust was also the man who could extinguish a life without flinching. But Bundy's reign of terror hit a roadblock. He was apprehended in Utah, a glimmer of hope that the nightmare might finally be over. Yet, the predator proved to be as cunning as he was monstrous. In a shocking turn of events, Bundy escaped from custody, slipping through the cracks of the justice system and plunging the nation back into a state of dread. His freedom, however, was short-lived. Bundy was recaptured, and the sigh of relief was almost audible. But Bundy was not one to be caged easily. He made a second escape, this time from a Colorado jail. His audacity was as chilling as his crimes. The nation watched, aghast, as the predator roamed free once more. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat, every stranger a potential monster. The fear was palpable, the terror real. Bundy was not just a man, he was a symbol of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface of society. Even behind bars, Bundy proved to be a force to be reckoned with. And as we delve deeper into this dark saga, we realize that Bundy's story is not just about the man behind the monster, but also a stark reminder of the horrors that can hide behind the most ordinary of faces. Eventually, every monster meets their end. For Bundy, it came in the form of a determined detective. In the relentless pursuit of justice, law enforcement was closing in, and the net around Ted Bundy began to tighten. This was a game of cat and mouse, but the mouse was running out of places to hide. The man who had slipped through the cracks so many times was finally cornered. Bundy's reign of terror was about to come to an abrupt end. The evidence against him was overwhelming. A mountain of physical proof, witness testimonies, and his own incriminating behavior all pointed to one chilling conclusion. Ted Bundy was the man behind the monstrous acts that had gripped the nation in fear. His charming facade was cracking, revealing the true nature of the beast within. But Bundy wasn't going down without a fight. In a bold and audacious move, he chose to represent himself in court. He stood before the judge and jury, not as the defendant, but as his own defense attorney. Bundy played his part well, using his charisma and intelligence to try and sway the court in his favor. Despite his best efforts, the evidence was too damning, the testimonies too compelling, the physical proof too strong. Bundy's attempts to charm and manipulate the court were in vain. He was found guilty and sentenced to death, a sentence fitting for a man who showed no remorse for his heinous crimes. In the face of overwhelming evidence and a relentless pursuit of justice, Bundy's end was inevitable. His charm and intelligence, which had served him so well throughout his horrific spree, were useless in the face of truth and justice. Despite his charm and intelligence, Bundy could not escape the consequences of his actions. The end of the monster had come, and with it, a small measure of peace for those whose lives he had so cruelly taken and forever altered. Bundy may be gone, but his shadow still looms large over America. The seismic tremors of Ted Bundy's monstrous acts still reverberate through the corridors of time, leaving an indelible mark on the American psyche. His gruesome crimes sent shockwaves across the nation, forever changing the perception of safety and the trust in outward appearances. In the aftermath of Bundy's reign of terror, the victims' families were left to pick up the shattered pieces of their lives. Their pain, unimaginably deep and enduring, serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of Bundy's unholy deeds. The lives Bundy snuffed out were not mere statistics. They were daughters, sisters, friends, vibrant souls, whose absence left gaping holes in the fabric of their families and communities. But this tale of horror and despair also sparked significant changes in law enforcement. Bundy's ability to elude capture for so long, slipping through the fingers of justice with a chilling ease, laid bare the shortcomings in the ways crimes were investigated and how information was shared among different jurisdictions. In response, law enforcement agencies across the country undertook sweeping reforms, improving communication and cooperation to ensure that another Ted Bundy could not slip through the cracks. The horror of Bundy's crimes, the shock of his seemingly ordinary demeanor concealing a monstrous soul, fundamentally altered the American consciousness. The smiling, charming young man was a wolf in sheep's clothing, a chilling embodiment of the evil that can lurk beneath the most ordinary of faces. His name has become synonymous with the darkest corners of the human mind, a grim testament to the capacity for cruelty hidden within the veneer of civility. Ted Bundy, a name synonymous with evil, serves as a chilling reminder that monsters can wear the most ordinary faces. His legacy is a haunting echo of the past, a grim lesson in the depths of human depravity and a stark warning for the future.